Hi, everyone. I'm the only thing standing between you and wine, I think, so we'll get started. I'm excited to tell you about Stylebot, which is a virtual editing assistant that helps professional writers save time without sacrificing quality. Am I doing this wrong? Okay. I'm Laura, and I'm a journalism professor at USC Annenberg, which is where I started Stylebot, when I noticed that my students in the student newsroom were not properly editing their work. And this was particularly distressing for me because prior to joining USC, I had worked in breaking news at places like the LA Times and BuzzFeed News. And what I experienced there are problems that media producers everywhere face, which is that they're publishing to more platforms than ever, faster than ever. They're often doing this with depleted resources. And all of this is happening at a time when trust in news is hitting all-time lows, and anyone with an internet connection can call out mistakes big and small. And speaking of big mistakes, there's been a renewed attention to word choice and language in media over the past couple of years. But I've done about 100 customer discovery interviews, and what I found is that editing resources simply are not keeping up either with the workflow changes or with the way language is evolving. So Stylebot solves both of these problems by taking a modern style guide and putting it in workflow tools media producers are already using, such as Slack and Microsoft Teams. Our guide can answer thousands of language and writing questions instantly, and it functions off a proprietary machine learning database and the answers have been written by humans, not robots, which is key to help us stand out in the marketplace among professional writers because they don't trust the guidance written by robots, but the trusted names in this space have not kept up with the technology changes. We're building our B2B business in the journalism sector right now, but this can expand well beyond journalism and to licensing other guides, which significantly expands our market opportunity. We're raising a pre-seed of $250K right now, and we have almost 50% committed. This will allow us to scale our current product offering as well as build a new revenue stream in the form of a B2C product. We've already worked with some of the biggest names in news across the country, and every new client right now helps us build our IP. And we've had an amazing year so far in client growth, more than doubling our client base. At Stylebot, we've combined traditional media expertise with cutting-edge technology to create the next generation of reference material. Thank you so much.
All right.
So tell me more about your pricing strategy. How do you intend to kind of make this more of a scalable model with recurring revenue and also be able to kind of go to finite number of outlets? Otherwise, it may end up being a 600 outlet, but very minuscule trickling revenue. So what is your strategy for pricing?
Yeah, so we're really priced with the market right now with B2B subscriptions. So that's that recurring revenue you're talking about. So we're, like I said, we're priced, I think, a little bit low right now, to be frank, because we're still building our IP and building our product with every new partner we have. But we plan to expand our business, expand our product offering in the B2B space, as well as open up those new revenue streams I talked about with a B2C product that can tap into the growing freelance market. If you're familiar with places like Substack or Medium, where a lot of people are striking out on their own, but they still want to have that credibility that professional writers have, and they still need that backup, then we think there's a big opening for us there, and we're in fact working toward that on our product roadmap right now.
Given the fact that we are living in an era of gig economy wherein people are willing to kind of churn out content for much less, how do you intend to kind of make this scalable against the rising force of gig economy?
When you're saying the gig economy, what do you mean by how?
Those who don't want to be W2 or the ones who don't want to be in the shackles of enterprise.
Right.
More like a freelance, but more of a structured freelance, not doing like a free freelance kind of thing.
Right. So, I already mentioned Substack. So one, we're going to make it, we're working on a B2C product that's not tied to Slack and Teams, right? So you wouldn't have to be on these like enterprise software to access Stylebot. We're also working on single user licenses, which not only helps us, it helps us reach that market I think you're talking about, but also helps us grow natural evangelists within bigger enterprises and organizations if they can just easily onboard with Stylebot and then talk about it to their stakeholders and their bosses and whatnot. And then also I think partnerships would be big for us there. Let me just use Substack as an example. They, one of the things they offer to writers who are leaving the New York Times, right, to go write for Substack, for example, they're saying like, oh, we'll help you with legal and stuff like that. And Stylebot could be a potential partner in a space like that.
Tell me more about what you actually do for people. What does the solution do for people?
What is the solution?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'll scroll back to the video. I hope it played. Honestly, does it play? Does it actually play? I'm not sure. Let me see if, hang on. There we go, it's gonna play. So basically, you just ask a question on, again, these workflow tools you're already using about language, style. You can see here, in this case, I'm using the example of the dashes because, you're just like writing the dash. You don't have to get the right keyword. Is it an M dash? Is it that? Which really helps break down some of the barriers to editing that you see with the traditional reference material where you have to know the right keyword. You have to know to go to this entry. And this is an honest and true story. I mean, I've been in journalism for more than a decade now, and I used to joke long before I started Stylebot that you had to have a whole separate degree to learn how to look things up in the style guide. And so this breaks down a lot of those barriers and makes it just more accessible and fun and faster for people who are working on constant deadlines. Something breaks, you have to get it on Twitter a minute ago. And that's truly the life I lived until I started teaching at Annenberg. So I'm very familiar with the customer use case and whatnot. I am the customer.
Is Grammarly a competitor or a different segment?
Yeah, so I list Grammarly in our competitor matrix. So let me tell you. So I say that Stylebot is a precision tool for professional writers. Grammarly is more for if you want to make sure your email to your boss doesn't have any typos, which is great. But that's frankly not something professional writers use. I've used Grammarly myself. It introduces mistakes often. It's not always correct. And I will say, Stylebot sponsored an editing conference at the end of March, and I was in a room with maybe 200 or so editors, and the speaker asked who uses Grammarly, and not a single hand went up.
So I believe Fortune Media is using the enterprise edition of Microsoft Editor. So, and the kind of investments that Microsoft is making into kind of making the editor software robust. How do you see the landscape going to change in the next 18 to 24 months?
Well, I think that you mean like on Microsoft Word?
No, this is integrated currently with the Microsoft Edge browser.
Oh, okay.
Which they intend to kind of provide us more like an API integration with the other standard sets like Slack and also the different editing and writing softwares, so that the content can be generated, but also it can be proofread at the same time and also assisting with the editors. Microsoft Editor, you may want to look up that.
Right. So Stylebot doesn't actually generate any content. Our thesis is that, humans are still the best at this level of editing. Humans are still best for that. They just need to be reminded of the rules from time to time. So that's really where Stylebot comes in. It's not trying to replace editors or writers in any way.
That's a subset then. Your Stylebot would be a subset of what Microsoft Editor is doing. They're doing this plus also recommendation. They have a recommendation engine that is inbuilt.
Right. And one thing that we think could happen here is that this could be integrated into like software suites, like selling, CMSs and whatnot, that this could be integrated into that and make it a better product offering. I list another competitor is called Tanza. And for example, we're in talks right now with a big news organization they're going to use Stylebot, but they already have Tanza, they already have these other things, but this is something they still see a need for. And then I think as we continue to evolve and grow, you could see these integrations, being alongside of something like that reads your text, if that makes sense.
This will be a paid engagement or more like a POC kind of what's the...
You mean the contract that we're negotiating?
Yeah.
Oh, it would be paid.
Paid. And it will be like one time or ARR based?
It would be ARR based.
Okay.
Is this only English?
It's only in English right now, yeah. But I will say we've had a lot of non-native English speakers come through our newsroom. Like I said, we've built this database based on real user inputs, and we answer a lot of questions that, you know, help you, adapt to the proper usage of the English language.
In one of your slides, you had the market, total market. Which one are you going after?
Well, right now, sorry, there we go. Right now, we're going after the journalism market right now. We were built, I'm a journalist, we were built in a newsroom by for journalists. But
Yep.
we've done a lot of, already investigation into the PR market, which is a natural segue.
The mic is off. Yeah. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
It did.
Time's up.
Is that like my Academy Award? Get off the stage.
We're not playing you off.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to just, I talk loud anyway. Hello. You can see here, we think some really good sectors for our current IP are like sales, marketing, and we've had conversations in those sectors already. And then you can see freelancers on there. And then we think there's application in the ed tech space. And then, like I said, if we get different licensing deals, we can really expand our market opportunity. This is a room full of researchers now. Has anyone used the APA style guide? Or, yeah, okay. It's maybe the most user-unfriendly thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So, what, it's bad? I got my master's relatively recently, and I was like, I did this because, no offense to the AP where I used to work, but their guide is not user-friendly, but APA really blows it out of the water. Sorry if you work for APA.
Wonderful.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.